Gus McGuire looked around the waiting room. He hated it, from its cloying, vanilla-scented candles to the china clutter on the mantelpiece to the seaside paintings on the chimney breast. The only thing remotely bearable was the oversized aquarium that stood dead centre, providing a 360-degree view of tank life. He didn't particularly like fish, but in this tank he'd found one he could relate to. He'd named him Nemo out of sheer bloody-mindedness because his Nemo was neither a clownfish nor orange and white. His Nemo was, by aquarium standards, a monster, lurking in solitude near the bottom of the tank. Its lazy eye blinked rarely. Cold and dead, it reminded him of Becky's eye, the one without the knife protruding from it, the one that blinked reproachfully at him in his nightmares. He tapped the glass and Nemo moved, the frondy things springing from the back of its head floating in the water. They reminded him of his own short dreads, which he kept at the regulatory above the collar length to avoid hassle from DCI Hussein. Gus's finger trailed across the tank. He'd happily spend the whole hour painting abstract patterns for Nemo to follow. However, such carefree indulgence with a friend, a bottom feeder but no less of a friend for that, was not to be. The door opened and Dr. Sabrina Mahmood beckoned him into her lair. Gus walked past her, quads clenching painfully, forcing himself not to limp. Ever conscious of her role in his future and resentful of it, he'd trained himself to exhibit no weakness. For Gus, these bi-weekly sessions were the equivalent of a siege. She was the negotiator trying to worm her way under his defences, and he would not comply. Not when so much depended on her assessment of his mental stability. Despite the pain, he strode towards his usual chair opposite her desk. In here, vanilla was replaced by occasional wafts of Chanel No. 5. No amount of careful lighting and magnolia paint could disguise the age of the building, but Gus had to admit she'd tried really hard. Little touches like the fluffy turquoise rug thrown over a threadbare blue carpet and the coffee table with fresh flowers in the corner were an obvious attempt to humanize the process. Dr. Mahmood took her place behind the desk and waited for him to sit. Gus stretched his legs, feeling the pull of scar tissue in his upper thigh. Immediately he found the damp spot on the wall above her right shoulder. With a practiced half-smile, he focused on the spot and waited for the usual ducking and diving to begin. These sessions were like a strategic ballroom dance, and Gus wasn't a great dancer. All he wanted was to immerse himself in his soul salvation. Work. Dr. Mahmood, he felt, was hell-bent on making him dance to her tune, a dance Gus was determined not to share. Elbows on the desk, fingers steepled against her lips, Dr. Mahmood studied him. Efforts to disguise his limp probably hadn't deceived her, but it was less pronounced, and his physiotherapist had given him the all-clear to return to work. Shoulder, still cushioned in a sling, was healing as expected. His thigh was improving daily, but his physical improvements weren't her remit. Her concern was his mental health. Gus felt sure that despite the well-meaning concern in her brown eyes, she'd have him carted off to Linfield Mount Psychiatric Hospital if she realised just how fragile he sometimes felt. She tapped her pen on the desk, her varnished nails flashing in Gus's peripheral vision. She looked tired today, less effervescent. Thank God, no woman in her 60s, no matter how well preserved, should display quite so much vitality. It drained him. "How have you been this week, Angus?" Gus shrugged. "Fine. And you?" He heard the smile in her voice. "This is your session, Angus, not mine." "Thought you looked a bit tired today, that's all." "Thanks for your concern, but let's crack on with the session." "That's why I'm here." "Have you had any night sweats since our last session?" Eyes on the damp spot, Gus shook his head. Well, none he was telling her about. "Panic attacks or palpitations?" "No. Only at night, when he had the nightmares." "Insomnia?" "No." But his heavy eyes belied this. Her skirt rustled as she got up and moved to the front of the desk. With a small grunt, she hefted her ample bottom onto it.